Hey, Walter Sorrells back with another Knife Makers Friday 5. Today, some helpful knife making hints and a little news for the channel. So today, a couple of helpful knife making hints, but before I get to that, some channel announcements. First thing, most exciting, most fun, I gave away a knife a couple months ago, and that was pretty enthusiastically received, so I thought I'd do it again. So basically, you just go and sign up on tacticsarmory.com for our mailing list, which allows you to be notified for what we're up to at Tactics Armory, some of the new models, discounts, just all kinds of good stuff like that. And in exchange for doing that, you got the chance to win a knife. This month, this is the one I'm going to give away. If you caught the video earlier this week, I forged this entire knife in about 2 hours. It's an all-forged integral knife. And I literally just made it up as I went along. I just thought it'd be cool to see how quickly I could make something like this. This is reasonably complicated to make the little handle here, and I really had no idea how I was going to do it. So that was a fun project, and normally I sell the knives that I make for my videos, but in this case, I'll be giving it away. All you got to do, tacticsarmory.com. It'll tell you, here's how you sign up for the mailing list. Sign up for the mailing list. And I'll draw somebody in the next 2 weeks, give away the knife, and I'll announce, 2-3 weeks from now who the winner is. Okay, so while I'm on the subject of new knives, I'll probably do one more video about the behind-the-scenes making of the Eclipse. That's my new knife right here. This is a pocket knife. If you haven't seen anything about it before, it's a pocket fixed blade, so it's specifically made to go in your pocket, easy to keep there. So, you got a fixed blade in your pocket instead of a folder. Folders, have all these problems with pivots and lockup and all that stuff. This is a completely trustworthy knife. And so anyway, this is something I've been working on for a while, and the most important thing about this is that the sheath really has to work right. And I mean, honestly, Kydex has just been a thorn in my side since I started Tactics Armory. It's just really difficult to get exactly the perfect solution to a Kydex making problem. Anyway, I really feel like this was a winner, and so I'm going to do a thing about it probably next week. So basically, it's just going to be behind the scenes on how I make this particular sheath and kind of the little journey that I went on to get to the final design and the final way of making it. Speaking of which, I had a July 4th sale that included some of these Eclipses. I've got a bunch more of them sitting right here, and I think I'm going to run that all the way through the weekend. So tacticsarmory.com got some great deals on these Eclipses. Okay, now this is a big announcement, and I'm super excited about this. Starting probably in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be starting to do a whole series about tools for the knife maker. Now, if you've been following me for 15 years, which probably most of you haven't, you'll know that one of the first things that I did when I got on YouTube was to do a series about tools for knife making. We're all tool nerds here. Everybody that's into making stuff loves tools. But nobody wants to just squander money on dumb stuff, the wrong tools, the wrong designs, whatever. And so that series was designed to guide people to make better choices and really also just to acquaint people with some cool tools around the knife maker's shop. Well, I've been making knives for about a decade at that point. I've now been making knives for over a quarter of a century, believe it or not. And my thinking's evolved in many ways. you know, they're new tools. I mean, just as a for instance, the belt grinder has really evolved a lot in the last probably 10 years. There are a bunch of companies that are making belt grinders really that are aimed specifically at knife makers and have some really cool features that I just did not cover at all in that original series. So some of you guys may recognize this DVD here. This was the result of that whole suite of videos about tools, and I just kind of pulled them together and added some little commentary and stuff like that. Point is that my thinking's evolved and some of the tools have evolved, and it was just time to freshen up this whole thing. So I'm going to be starting basically from scratch. I'm going to be talking about belt grinders, measuring tools, anvils, forges, forge presses, power hammers, just all the fun stuff that knife makers use. A lot of these, if you're thinking about buying one or if you're thinking about getting into knife making, there's a lot of you know, trepidation about, oh, I need to spend all this money, or, you know, am I going to spend a bunch of money and then get something that really doesn't work for me, whatever it might be. And so the idea of this thing is to help you avoid all that, that hassle. So keep your eyes posted for that. Just to give you an instance of something that, you know, my thinking has evolved on, as opposed to changes in the types of tools available. I recommended in my old videos that you should buy a whole bunch of these super cheap Chinese calipers, digital calipers. And, you know, I still think it's a good idea. I like having a bunch of them around the shop, and if you buy the cheap ones, then you don't have to spend a mint to do it, because if you buy a brand new Mitutoyo, it's like $130, $160, something like that. You could break the bank buying those. But if you buy these cheap ones, they're kind of disposable. Here's the problem. I bought a bunch of these things recently, and the batteries are all dying. I don't know what it is. They're probably all made in the same factory in China, but they all suck. And I just haven't had good luck with these lately. So I started going out and buying dial calipers, the old style caliper that has, I was looking around, I couldn't find the one that I know. Oh, there it is. Here we go. So this is a Brown & Sharp dial caliper. So instead of having a battery and a little digital readout, it has this little dial here. It's every bit as accurate as the digital calipers, maybe more accurate, I don't know. But these Brown & Sharps, and you can get Starretts, you can get, I don't know, a bunch of other things. These are just better made than these cheaper digital calipers. It's just got really smooth action, the steel's higher quality, the machining's better. You can buy them used on eBay, super cheap, and they're just as good. They take a little bit more concentration to get your reading from them, but I'd recommend, if you got some of these and the batteries are dying, get on eBay, buy one of these, Brown & Sharp or a Starrett or something like that. Mitutoyo makes them too, of course. They're all beautiful little instruments, and you won't be sorry you got one. Okay, final item, and I think this is a really useful hint. In a couple weeks, I'm going to be reviewing a planer that I've gotten recently. I've got another planer, but I wanted one that was a little bit wider. It's typically thought of as a woodworking tool and not necessarily that important to knife making shops, but it dovetails with something that I really like doing, which is buying up goodly sized pieces of lumber and then chopping them up on the bandsaw into smaller pieces that I can use for knife making, you know, for the handles of knives. So just as a for instance, this right here is sapele, which is pretty close to mahogany. This piece of wood I bought at Peach State Lumber in Kennesaw, Georgia. Great store, by the way. This is literally a skid for, or, you know, it's a piece of a pallet that wood was shipped on from, I don't know, wherever sapele is grown. They sold this to me for $5. So look at the size of this thing. I mean, you could literally chop this up into about 15 knives. So maybe 20, 30, I don't know. So anyway, what I do with these is I slice them up on the bandsaw, and then I'll run them through my planer, and you can get a long piece of lumber, make it nice and dead flat, and then you can chop it up into smaller pieces for knife scales. Really nice pieces of wood can be bought in lumber sizes. You can get them from Rockler. You can sometimes get them from a normal wood supplier that just for some weird reason has got some odd type of wood. You can buy exotics. You can buy wood lumber online. If I take down a tree on my property and I see something that looks like you know, some burl wood or something like that, I'll just chop it out with a chainsaw, throw it in a pile, and I'll leave it there for a while. Sometimes worms will eat it. Sometimes you'll get spalting, you know, and it might sit there for a couple years. Then I'll chop it up again, chop it on the bandsaw, run it through a planer, and I've got really nice, really flat wood that I can make into handle scales. So I would highly recommend anybody who makes knives to, every time you go to your wood supplier, or if you're buying something online from places that sell some wood, buy, you know, a plank. So when you buy large pieces of lumber, the price for a, you know, board foot of it or whatever, maybe it's $20, you know, for a really nice piece of wood, but you can make, you know, a dozen handle scales out of that one thing, and it's costing you $2 for a really high quality piece of wood. I remember I bought a burl of California buckeye probably over 25 years ago. It was about this big. I was just in some guy's shop, and he's had this big pile of these burls. And I said, well, how much is that? He was like, I don't know, $30 or $50 or something like that. I've literally gotten dozens and dozens of pieces of wood off of there. Some of them I've stabilized, some of them I've done other things with. I'm still harvesting nice pieces of wood off of this 25 years later. So this tiny little investment just continues to pay off years and years later. So every time you get a chance to buy a nice little piece of lumber, or, you know, a burl or something, take that chance, throw it in your shop, let it sit there for a while, and then you can chop it up, make it into beautiful knives. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Keep your eyes peeled for those videos about tools. Want to win this knife? Go to tacticsarmory.com, sign up for the mailing list. Keep on making those knives. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like what we're doing here, please subscribe and make sure that you click on that bell so you get notified of all the latest videos. Want to buy a knife from me? Check out my modern blades at tacticsarmory.com. Digging the channel? You can support our video making efforts on Patreon. You know, I've been banging away on these videos for like 10 years, so I hope you'll show some love for all that hard work. Link in the cards and descriptions. Finally, if you're interested in making Japanese swords, check out my full line of Japanese sword videos where I show how to forge Japanese swords as well as how to polish them and how to make fittings, handles, and scabbards. WalterSorrellsBlades.com.